Hey everybody, my name is Aisha and welcome to my channel. This is my very first video, so if this is your first time seeing me or being here, welcome. And it's new for both of us. Let's just embrace this time together. So as you've seen in the title of this video, it is all about how to ace an online interview. And I feel like this is more and more of a skill that's absolutely necessary in the job market today. I mean, even if it wasn't for the crazy situation happening right now, more and more companies are actually hiring not only for remote positions, but if you're moving potentially to a completely different city or state or country, a lot of times you actually have to conduct your video online nowadays. So a lot of people wonder, well, how do I do this? Like if I do manage to get my resume in the door and they're like, we love you, we want to chat with you, then what do you do? How do you prepare? What do you do to be successful in an online interview? Well, as somebody who has actually successfully managed to get two really great jobs, both of which interviewed remotely first, I hope I can shed some insight on how you can prepare and do everything you can to make the best possible impression and land that position. So I'm going to break it down into 5 easy things to follow in order to nail that interview. So stay tuned. Number 1, and this I feel like is kind of overall whether you're doing an online interview or an interview in person, and that is confidence. I know it gets so easy to get all in your head when it comes to applying for a job. You're like, oh my God, I want to make sure I look good and I present well, and what if they don't like me, and what if I answer something wrong? Look, there's nothing wrong with nerves, but it's really important to remember that an interview is actually a two-way street. Yes, you want the job and you want to work for this company, but they also want a really good worker, which is right here. So don't walk into that interview thinking that you've got nothing to offer. They've brought you in for an interview because they've seen your resume and they see that you have skills that they want. And now this is really just kind of a confirmation of what they saw on the page. Remember that you've got something to offer as well. And that kind of helps to put you in less of a, oh, the company's here and I'm down here, and bring it back to where it's really supposed to be, which is that you guys are actually on an even keel. So go in with confidence. Confidence is sexy. Confidence is charismatic. I mean, after all, nobody knows you better than you. So if you don't have confidence in your skills, why should the company? Keep that in mind. Number 2, your appearance. It's really important that even though you're online and you can do these videos, even though you can do these interviews in your home, be aware of the fact that your camera is most likely going to be on. They're still going to be looking at you. So as tempting as it might be to do your interview in your pajamas and not to bother getting ready, it doesn't really show that you're serious about the position or that you're really looking at the gravity of the situation. An online interview is just as serious and as important as if it was a face-to-face interview. So that means you should still get up, wash your behind, do your hair. If you're a woman or a man for that matter, if you want to do makeup of some kind, if that's what you do all of that. Put on something nice. Again, you don't have to go dressed to the nines per se, but really, when you do all those steps, it also helps you subconsciously get into the mindset of this is a serious interview, and it shows your employer that you're serious about the position as well. Really, you want to look your best because honestly, if you present well right off the bat, they're going to be far more inclined to listen to what you have to say than if you come looking like you literally just rolled out of bed because you maybe kind of did. Number 3, do your research, okay? Listen, I've seen so many times when people apply for jobs, because I've actually conducted interviews for several of the companies that I've worked for, and it really disappoints me when, as an interviewer, I ask them questions like, why do you want to work for this company? What drew you to us? What makes this the perfect place for you to work? And you see the blank stares because they honestly haven't thought much about it outside of the paycheck. Even if it is primarily about getting paid, which I mean, hello, that's a huge part of every job, companies really like it if you've done taken some time, I should say, and done some research into why you want to work for them. They want to know that you're invested in this position, and this isn't just some any old thing that you're just throwing out millions of resumes and seeing what lands. I mean, that might actually be the case, and there is no shade in that, girl. But each company likes to feel like a special snowflake. So taking a little time, I'm not saying you have to go through 10 years of history with this company, but looking at their about page, learn a little bit about their company. What are their values? Do they align with yours? Look for a handful of things, I'd say a minimum of 3 things, and really just kind of focus in on them and make sure that it naturally fits into the things that you are either looking to move towards in your career or things that you just want to embrace in a company. Don't pick out something about the company that really doesn't mean anything to you, because if they actually start to drill into that, you could find yourself in a lot of trouble. Number 4, relax. Be as relaxed and real as you possibly can. What really sells anybody in an interview situation, typically on a person, is you. How the person makes you feel in that interview. And I know sometimes you're thinking, what are you talking about? Like if I'm applying for a job in IT, they need to know that I'm a good, coder, or I'm a good designer, or whatever the case may be. Yes, your skills are important, but the reality is, when it comes to almost every position out there, you're not the only person with those skill sets, right? There's probably a few million people who could do the same job. What's really going to sell someone in the end is their feeling about you, what resonated with them about you. So what I say is more important than anything is to sell you. Sell why you the individual, you the only person on the planet who is you, what is that unique, amazing thing that you're going to add to their company that's going to edge you out over literally the hundreds or thousands of other people out there who have the exact same skill set. And I know that it's difficult if you are nervous, if you are someone who's prone to get nervous in these situations. Do your best to just take some breaths before your interview, really calm yourself, because if you're more relaxed, your natural charisma, your natural personality is going to come through. And if that is the right fit for that company, you're going to find the two of you are just going to gel. And it might be 3 of you, depending on what kind of interview you've got going on. But it's just going to be natural. You're going to feel a flow. And when I say that that makes a huge impression, so many times I've seen, being both in the interviewing seat and the interviewee seat, that when there is a good vibe, the chances that you are going to be recommended to proceed to the next step or to be a consideration for that job are considerably higher, even if your skill set doesn't match up. I've seen people get hired who do not have the skill set, but because they resonated so well with the interviewers, they were willing to take a chance on them. So honestly, do what you can to be yourself, to be relaxed, to really show your true personality, because that could end up being the one thing that sends you past all the other competitors to be the right person for the job. And finally, number 5, ask questions. This is so huge, OMG. It drives me insane when I interview people and they have 0 questions whatsoever at the end of the interview. And again, I'm not saying that you should ask like frivolous questions, but there's always more to know. Show them that you're really interested in this job. Show them that you're really interested in this company. Like, just dig a little deeper. But that's also for you, right? These are questions you should be asking, because listen, nothing sucks more than going through all the process of getting hired for a job only to find out 3 to 4 months in that you hate it because the environment is nothing like you liked, or the work isn't what you thought it was going to be, etc. And these are all things you could have asked during the interview period. Have questions ready. I personally like to have 3 questions ready. One that has to do with the company itself, one that has to do with the position or the duties or responsibilities, and a third one is usually around the actual interviewers themselves. Asking people about themselves is one of the golden tickets of interviews. We're all naturally a little narcissistic. I know you don't want to hear it, but it's true. We all like to talk about ourselves. So if you can get any reason to get your interviewer to open up and actually start talking about themselves, it's a great charisma and rapport builder. So definitely have that in there. And depending on how much time you have left, maybe you can throw in a 4th one around their opinion on the position or the company. Here's an example of all those questions. The first one about the company. Like I said, if you do your research on the company, you probably know about whatever their value systems are. I like to ask, okay, well, this particular value around work-life balance, I was just wondering, how do you feel the company does as far as implementing them? And can you give me a specific example of how they've enforced this pillar in their everyday work life or in the everyday situation or setup of your company? So it shows that you've done some research around what the company is and what they believe in, and you're asking them to kind of prove that they're walking the walk and not just talking the talk. For the second one, a question about the position itself. So you could be like, listen, so you told me that I'll be working as a developer in this particular area, or can you describe to me what a typical day in the life of a developer is in that particular team, or what kind of expectations that you feel the company really has to be a rock star developer in your company? Again, you're asking more about what you actually are going to be doing, what the expectations of you are going to be, what people are looking for in order for you to succeed. Again, it shows that you've done a little bit of research and you're also really interested in how you can be successful in the company. The third one, the personal question. I usually like to do a little bit of a LinkedIn profile creep on the people that are interviewing me if I know ahead of time. Sometimes you don't, but a lot of times nowadays they will tell you who's going to be interviewing you. So go on LinkedIn, search for that person if you can. If they have an open profile, take a look. How long have they been with the company? What kind of work have they done before? And especially if they've been with the company for a super long time, you could do something like that. Let's say the person who's interviewing you has been with the company for 10 years. You could say, hey, I noticed that you've been with this company for a really long time. I mean, 10 years is really, really unique in this day and age. So what is it about this company that has kept you engaged and happy for so long? So there, you're not asking them to say anything shady about the company. You're actually saying, oh my God, the company's so great that they kept you. But again, it gets them talking about themselves. And then you can also find out more about the company, right? Because it really is rare to have somebody working for a company for 10 years these days. So you want to know, like, what is it about this company that's so great? And finally, for the fourth bonus question, if you have time, I like to ask them, like, okay, so I'm interviewing to be a developer. Can you tell me that if you could assemble your perfect developer, what are the skills and traits that you're looking for? Like, to you, what is going to be the perfect developer for this role or for this company? And again, this kind of turns the tables back on them. And a lot of times the answer that they're going to give you is a little bit of their own personal opinion, but a lot of times it's based on what they've experienced in the company and what they've seen for people who succeed in the company versus what hasn't worked. So again, it kind of gives you a little bit more insider knowledge as far as what you can say or do if you have subsequent interviews, or your expectations if you were to enter the company. And maybe you might find out there's some expectations that you don't want to do or have no interest in, and it will kind of be a little bit of a shield for going any further in the process. So those are my 5 tips. I have 10 hands up. I don't know why, because I can't count, for how you can ace an online interview. I really hope that these would help you. Honestly, I feel like these tips would be good if you're doing an interview of any kind, but since so many of them are online right now, those are things I think that would really help you to do really, really well and leave a great impression. So that's pretty much it for this video, guys. If you think those topics were helpful, please go ahead and click the like button on this video. And if you want to see more from me, please click that like button. You know, we'd love to have you here. Hey, if you found this channel, that means you belong here. So until next time, guys, please take care. See you next time.